Hello and welcome to another episode of Go Ballistic, the Scottish Sun's weekly Scottish football show where we look back at all the big talking points from the weekend. As always, our head of sport, Roger Hannah, is here with me to discuss the big talking points. So let's start with that madcap game at Dens Park on Saturday evening. 4-3 win for Rangers, twice come from 2 goals behind twice. Crazy game, and probably the most Cyril Dessers-y game maybe of Cyril Dessers' Rangers career. What did you make of it, and what do you make of Dessers in particular in this game? Because it's all about him really, isn't it, the way the game transpired?
12 chances, 1 goal, good quotes after the game, always good for a newspaper man, a website man, he talks well. He is what he is. If he took all the chances that he had, he wouldn't be playing for Rangers, Jonathan. 45 goals in his first 100 games, only the 4th striker to do it this millennium. So he's got something about him. If he could just sharpen it up a little bit, he would be to Rangers what Dyson Maeda is to Celtic this season.
Where do you kind of stand on the Dessers debate as a whole? Because there's no getting away with it. He does miss a lot of chances. He, however, as he said, very nice stats was what he said in the game. He's quite happy with what he's putting up. You rarely see, the criticism he gets is he should score more goals. But other than like Erling Haaland or Salah, you rarely see strikers putting up like 40, 50 goals, things like that. So, kind of, where do you stand in a sort of general debate on him?
Listen, it's fine lines, because if he misses those chances and it's 3-3, then he's awful. When he takes that chance in the 92nd minute, Aaron Donnelly just loses the ball in the wind a little bit. He gets it past Trevor Carson. Carson's probably made harder saves during the game than the one he let in at the end. So suddenly Dessers is the hero again. He's doing well for Rangers. I think if you were to list the problems and issues facing Barry Ferguson at the minute, Cyril Dessers would be way, way down that list. That's not a big issue. Dessers, to be fair to him, is now ahead of Danilo, is now ahead of Igaman as the first choice centre forward. He'll start against Hibs at Ibrox on Saturday for all of his flaws. I think Rangers have bigger problems at the other end of the park.
Well, let's just touch on that then. So obviously, just over a month now with Barry Ferguson in charge. Defeat to Motherwell aside, the results have been good. They're through in Europe, but as you're alluding to, at the other end of the pitch, goodness me, they're leaking goals. They're making things so hard for themselves every single game, just as they were doing under Philippe Clement before. Now, after the game on Saturday, Ferguson said, a lot of the old habits like that are still there. But he also said the other side of the coin that he felt that the team wouldn't have won that game a few weeks ago. So how do you kind of look at Rangers a month into Ferguson's reign? Do you see a turnaround there of sorts, or is it still just these same concerns?
I think, listen, it has to be the same concerns. It's great for the neutrals to watch. 4-3 at Dens, 3-2 at Celtic Park, 4-2 at Kilmarnock. The drama, 2 legs against Fenerbahce. It's fantastic to watch. I don't think it'll be doing a lot for the Rangers management team as the games are going on, but listen, long may the entertainment aspect of it continue. They've got difficult games coming up. There's not an easy game between now and the end of the season. In the league, Hibs at home, 3rd in the table, then Aberdeen away, you know what that brings, Jonathan, and then the other 5 best teams in the league, including Celtic, after the split, and 2 games against Athletic Bilbao. There is no breathing space for Barry Ferguson and his backroom team. They need to sort it out in defence.
No, absolutely. Now, in terms of the result in that game, it's a result that's not going to really change where Rangers are going to finish in the league. But at the other end, significant result again for Dundee. They're sitting 11th, 31 points. 5 clear of St Johnstone, Kilmarnock in there as well. All those teams losing, as well as Ross County. So looking at all those teams, including Dundee, who are you kind of fearing for going into this last run of the season towards the split?
I was going to say not Dundee, because you think Dundee will score goals. Simon Murray, you saw, Adewumi and Tiffany going forward. Lyle Cameron, who may or may not be fit this weekend. We'll wait. I need to wait and see.
We'll see.
I always think they're good going forward. They let in, we speak about Rangers, Dundee let in a horrendous number of goals.
Crazy.
Horrendous number of goals. So they need to stop that. If they can calm that down a wee bit, I think they've got the goals in them to get away. I can't see Dundee finishing in the bottom 2.
Okay, well, we shall see indeed. Now, another team that have no problem scoring goals, Celtic, another 3 for them on Saturday.
In the first half.
And a man that certainly isn't struggling to score goals, a man you mentioned in one of your answers about Dessers, Dyson Maeda, once again. A double for him at the weekend. David Friel, the exclusive story last week about Celtic looking to tie him down to a new contract. Now, obviously, the fans will be wanting new players in the summer. Celtic will get new players. Tierney's already coming in, for example. But just how big a priority is getting this new deal for Maeda done for Celtic and Rodgers?
I think it has to be, because he scored 30 goals. He's going to be the player of the year. I think we're all agreed on that. No one's asking about Kyogo Furuhashi anymore. He has established himself as the centre forward. 27 years of age, he's still got good years ahead of him. I think it'll be a big priority for Celtic to get him nailed down. Celtic will sell in the summer. Wouldn't surprise me if Rio Hatate left the club, for instance, in the summer, and they brought somebody else in for him. They will be desperate to keep Maeda. Be interesting to see what Maeda's thoughts were. A great quote from Brendan Rodgers on Friday when he said, he's not really sure what Dyson's thinking, but he always says he's very happy. And he does appear to like life in Scotland. His family's here. His family has been embraced by Celtic. You see the kids at games. You see the kids on the pitch after the games. He does genuinely look to be enjoying his time here. It wouldn't necessarily surprise me if he bucked the trend and did sign the deal.
Well, we shall see now. Remains to be seen if he's going to sign a new deal or not. One player who isn't, according to Brendan Rodgers now, is Greg Taylor. Not really a surprise, obviously, because time's been ticking away and there's been no breakthrough. There's not really been any developments other than that it wasn't being signed. So no surprise in that sense. But are you a bit surprised, maybe looking at it from the player's point of view, that he doesn't want to stay? Obviously, Tierney's coming in, but Rodgers is kind of, he's certainly publicly always said he wants Taylor to stay. So are you kind of surprised in that sense this is happening?
Not necessarily. We said Maeda looks happy and wants to continue here. Greg Taylor, I think, has got aspirations to go elsewhere anyway. And I think when you know Kieran Tierney's coming back, you know that for the first time in his Celtic career, Greg Taylor wouldn't enjoy first choice status. And Jeffrey Sloop comes as well, which is a real possibility. Then it doesn't surprise me Greg wants to go. He's seen a lot of his close friends, Brian Christie, Stuart Armstrong, Christopher Ayer, all head away down south. He gets himself involved in Scotland squads where he speaks to John McGinn, Andy Robertson, guys like that who play down south. And I just think Greg has had a successful time at Celtic. He could go away with a lot of medals in his cabinet. He's done well for Celtic. I just think he'll end up somewhere else, and he'll be a success somewhere else.
Don't doubt it. We'll see where he ends up. Now, that's all the Premiership drama. Kris Boyd's just coming along in a moment, but there's certainly, as there always is, a lot of interest in the Championship, but this time Dunfermline, obviously towards the bottom end of the table. What a couple of weeks they've had. Neil Lennon first coming in as manager. Then he goes and brings Victor Wanyama in a transfer that I don't think anyone could quite have seen coming until it happened. Now, I believe you were there at Somerset Park to watch them taking on air, and obviously not the ideal start for Wanyama, coming on as a sub, falling in the ball. As you can see there, handling it, sent off. Absolute nightmare debuts, nightmares that can come. Just wonder what you thought watching on from the stands about sort of the very early Neil Lennon era.
Yeah, listen, for the first, Neil changed the team again. He went 3-4-3, and for 20 minutes, albeit with the wind at their back, they did have air pinned back, and they looked good. They did suffer a couple of untimely injuries. They lost Connor Young to what looked like a nasty injury. Tashin Oakley-Booth went off with a hamstring early in the second half, and it sort of took the wind out of them a little bit. At 1-0, when Wanyama came on, Neil was obviously going for it at that stage. It was a bad mistake by Kyle Benedictus giving the ball away for the second goal. And then Wanyama, was caught out. Not the debut he was looking for at all. He's only here for 7 games. He's been sent off in the first, lasting 19 or 20 minutes. He'll miss the second against Livingston midweek through suspension. So it is a setback. But if you're a Dunfermline fan, I think you would take a lot of encouragement from the opening quarter of the game. And if they get more time this week with Neil Lennon, huge game. Listen, Livingston on Wednesday night, Livingston off the back of their cup final win yesterday is big. Dunfermline Hamilton on Saturday, East End Park is going to be huge for Neil Lennon.
Absolutely massive. One of the biggest games next weekend anyway. And just you mentioned there, Livingston, obviously congratulations to them. An absolutely thumping win to get a bit of silverware on the board against Queen's Park. So thanks for now, Roger. You're going to go and speak to Kris Boyd, who's just coming up in a moment. But as always, there's loads of good stuff across our YouTube channel. Not least, the Coffee Club special with Willie Collum. Robert Grieve and Bill Leckie went and sat down with him. Here's a little snippet of what he had to say.
So I refereed that game out there and I sent off 3 people. I must have booked about 12 people. And if I was to referee it again, I'd have probably the 1 yellow card if I was to referee it now. There's a story to that. I sent a guy off, the guy might watch, Ted O'Rourke for West Kilbride. And he says to me at the end of the game, I got up in my medal and that, and you're young, you're naive, you're thinking, who cares, I've sent all these people off, you know. As you go through your career, eventually you go, 11 cautions, 3 red cards, something's not right here. But at that point, I wasn't bothered. And he said to me, if you ever come to West Kilbride, you'll never get out alive. And my cousin moved to West Kilbride, and I've never been to West Kilbride, so I've taken Ted O'Rourke to his...
Well, we can now head down to Ayrshire, SunSport's Kris Boyd. Boyd, you look as if you've just about got yourself back in shape after that remarkable game at Dens on Saturday night. Would I love to have the camera, not so much in the pitch, but the contrasting faces of you and Chris Sutton as that game went 3-1, 3-2, 3-3, 3-4. Talk us through it.
Oh, Roger, it was incredible, wasn't it? Game of the season, probably. You know, it was end to end. You know, just when you felt as if Dundee had done enough to see Rangers off, then they allow. You know, I thought that we spoke about it after the show. The gaps in between the midfield and defence got too big, and Rangers were able to you know, get players in between them and started to play 1-2s around and caused Dundee problems. And a great strike from James Tavernier. But I think from Tony Docherty's point of view, and I know we'll come back to Rangers in a minute, but from Tony Docherty's point of view, it was still too much emphasis on attacking when they were 3-1 up as well. And I get the fact that you know, they will say that that's the way the game planned out, and you know, that counter-attacking football had got them to the position they were in. But you kind of just felt that the work had been done from Dundee, and you know, if they just have closed those gaps, then you know, you felt as if Rangers were really struggling to break them down. And then you look at it. We'll touch on, you know, the bottom of the table in a little while, but you look at where Dundee were there, then there was more pressure going to be on Kilmarnock because they leapfrogged them. But I mean, I think every Kilmarnock fan would have been cheering for Rangers on Saturday night as well, because
don't they always?
Eh?
Don't they always?
No, not all of them, not all of them. But they definitely would have been on Saturday night. That's for sure, because you know, it's too tight. You know, for Kilmarnock anyway, down the bottom of the table. But you know, for Dundee, you just, you know, you thought as if there was, you know, they had done enough to at least get a point, and it would have been a huge point for them. But take nothing away from Rangers in terms of they kept going, and you know, obviously got those 3 goals that was able to overturn that deficit from Dundee. But I mean, I don't know if you want to leave the Dundee chat till later on when we're talking about the bottom ones.
Well, I was going to ask about Rangers. I mean, they're turning into the great entertainers. 3-2 at Celtic Park, 4-2 at Kilmarnock, 4-3 at Dens Park. It's great for neutrals like you and Chris Sutton, but what does Barry Ferguson make of it all? It can't be good for his heart rate.
He won't be happy, Roger. You know, and I get the fact that we've said it, you know, numerous times, it's about winning games of football, but you know, right now for Rangers, you know, and I've said this as well, they don't seem to be in control of a game of football for large periods of it. It's too open, too expansive, like a basketball game sometimes. You can't concede 2 goals virtually every single game. You know, the defending was really poor, and you know, Barry had touched on it as well, that the old bad habits were starting to creep back in. And I think we saw that. You know, Simon Murray's was a great finish. Yes, it's poor goalkeeping from Jack Butland for the second one, but it was long balls into the box that caused problems, corners, throw-ins, recycling, you know, the ball for the second one, just putting it back into an area and asking questions of Rangers defensively. And you've got to say they came up short again. Yes, you know, it's a fantastic strike from Tiffany for the third one, but even look at the ball, it was crossed in for him where he should have scored to make it 3-1 before he did. You know, so there was signs that, you know, the bad habits, and Barry touched on that, the bad habits are still there. And, you know, you kind of get the feeling right now for Rangers and for Barry, getting results or getting victories is one thing, but you want to be doing it in style to show that, you know, you've implemented it. Not only have you implemented that winning mentality back into the squad and that never say die attitude, but you're doing it with a little bit of style as well. And when you're losing 1, 2, 3 goals, as you did the other night, but 2 in previous games, it's very difficult for your attacking players to go and play with a freedom that, you know, because they're having to do extra to, you know, to help out, defensively. Sorry, on you go.
I was going to ask, do you think we'll see domestically, is it 7 domestic games left, 2 before the split, 5 after? Will we see this 3 at the back thing again, or was that just something that fitted for Fenerbahce and for Celtic?
Well, I mean, I think, when you look at Rangers, there's no doubt that Sterling is a defender. There's no doubt that Balogun is a defender. John Souttar is probably the most natural footballer of the 3 of them. But he's playing central. It's very difficult for him to drive out with the ball, and usually that's what you'd be looking for as a if it is a back 3, is either one of the guys in the middle being able to drive forward and start the moves off, and maybe take the opposition strikers or midfielders out of the game. But I'm not really seeing that with Rangers right now. You look at the 2 games you mentioned there. For the Fenerbahce and Celtic game, Rangers, albeit they looked very good on the counter-attack, there was large spells in those games where they had to defend as well. And James Tavernier had obviously played at centre-back as well. So there was large spells of those games where they had to defend. And I think that back 3 enjoyed defending. But the flip side of that is Rangers have got, obviously Celtic right now are the best team in the league. But out with that, Rangers have got the best players in the league. So they should be expected to go to the rest of the grounds up against the rest of the teams and win those games of football. For me, I've always thought the Rangers should have 2 strikers on the pitch. They obviously did that in Saturday night with the Iggerman and Dessers. It didn't quite work for Iggerman. You can cut him some slack, obviously, with Ramadan. So it's for Cyril Dessers as well. I was once called an enigma, but there's one thing with Cyril Dessers. I mean, you've got to take your hat off to him as well, Roger. I touched on it before the game. He turns up for his work. He's going to put in a shift. He's always going to be available. And the same can't be said for other ones in there. And Danilo especially at £6 million. You'd be looking for a lot more from him. So I think for Dessers, the goals return has been very good.
The stat, since year 2000, he's now got 45 goals in his first 100 games. Only 3 strikers since 2000 managed more than 45 in their first 100 games for Rangers. Shota Arveladze, Alfredo Morelos, and a fella for Terbolton.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad haul for He does miss chances, but he does score goals.
Roger, I think that the thing with Cyril Dessers is every striker misses chances. Every striker. Even the best there's ever been misses chances. That's what happens when that's the life of a striker. But for me, I think it's the type of chances that Cyril Dessers misses, because you could miss one that you think that's an absolute certainty he's going to score, and then the next minute he'll just pluck one out there, like at Old Trafford, for example, where you think there's absolutely nothing on here, plucks it out there, and it's an unbelievable finish. I think he's a scorer of good goals. I don't think he's a natural finisher as such, but his numbers are decent. His numbers are decent, and you do feel kind of sorry, for him sometimes, because he is going to get criticised because of the chances that he misses, and you think to games where you're just needing that goal scorer just to sniff out an opportunity to kill a game off, or maybe at 0-0 to nick something just to get it 1-0 or at 1-1 to steal something and make it 2-1. But he won't throw in the towel. He'll always go back. He'll go back for more. And as I said, for me, there's other people that in that dressing room that can't be pulling their weight, because Danilo's the obvious one. £6 million. He's hardly kicked a ball.
Yeah.
That's now 3 managers as well. And I know he's had injuries, but you're looking at it saying you can't always, maybe the style of play or looking for an opportunity. And you listen to players and they'll say, the stuff that will come out will be, I've not been given an opportunity. You've got an opportunity every single day in training to force the manager into playing you. And, Barry has played 2 up front, in the games that he's been the manager. So you'd expect Danilo, I'd expect more from him. But, go back to Dessers, for me, he's a scorer of good goals. He'll get the odd scrappy one, but his numbers are decent. There's no getting away from it. But, it was one of those nights on Saturday where you just thought, this ain't going to happen. But I actually turned out to my sidekick and said that to him. You knew what was going to happen after chance after chance after chance being missed. And, Rangers, when it went 3-1, because the way the game was, it was so open. And I said to Kris at the time, Rangers will win this and Cyril Dessers will get the winner. It was so open, like so open, albeit, it was 2 long distance strikes. And Tony Dockett won't be happy with that. But, you've got to, we've criticised Rangers' mentality, and you were probably on the verge of criticising it again on Saturday night in terms of turning up for games that you're expected to win. But you've also got to praise the mentality from falling behind to find a way to win a game of football. But, for me, I think for Barry, he'll be wanting to do it. Obviously, he wants to win games of football, but he will want to do it, in a more convincing style, shall we say.
Your sidekick, as you describe him, would have rocked up at Dens Park quite happy. Celtic 3-0 winners against Hearts, 2 goals and an assist for Daizen Maeda. He's now hit 30 for the season. David Friel, the Scottish Sun, broke the story about Celtic wanting to hand him a new contract extension. Brendan Rodgers confirmed it before the game. Can you see Maeda extending his time at Celtic Park, Kris?
Yeah, I think for Celtic, you look at the way they play and the pace they've got at the top end of the pitch. You go from it was the first goal, wasn't it? For Hearts, have got the ball, and it's in there, and then all of a sudden, inside it must have been 7 or 8 seconds. Celtic get the ball in the back of the net. It's a great pass from Callum McGregor, I must add. Yeah. But when you look at the counter attack and how quickly they turn the transformation or transition, from defence into attack, and the speed they've got is very difficult to stop, because Hearts had actually played okay the first half. Yeah. I'm sure Neil Critchley would have been happy with the performance. There's times you go to Celtic Park and you don't see it, but Hearts had actually done okay. But you've got to, I think when you look at Celtic, and where they're at right now, they're in a good position in terms of being able to strengthen their squad. Obviously, Kieran Tierney's coming back, but you kind of, I think they will add, a striker in the summer. I think they have to. But
is Maeda a striker now? It seems a silly question. 30 goals. Is he now regarded as a striker? And the wingers have to come from elsewhere. It's Kuhn, it's Jota, it's Yang, it's Forrest.
Well, you wouldn't be surprised if Nicholas Kuhn's one of the ones that, because Celtic, that's what they do, isn't it? They sell a player every summer, and Nicholas Kuhn's been the one that has been linked with moves away. You don't. Rio Hatate, people like, they'll be saying, "Oh, here he's going to try to sell our players now," but that is the Celtic model. That's what they do. Yeah. So Hatate's now getting to that. What is he? 27, 28-year-old now. So 28 now. Yeah. So they might look at it and say, right, this is our last opportunity to move him on. Kuhn would be the obvious one as well, because of his performance, especially the first part of the season. To answer your question, I think right now Celtic can afford to do what they want with that forward line as such between now and the end of the season. The start of next season, when you've got European football back again, and you're probably into a busier schedule, I don't think we'll see the 2 wide players, because they are asked to do a shift. I don't think we'll see them perform as much as what we've seen recently, because Celtic are only going week to week. So you might see Daizen Maeda back in a wide area as such. Does Jota go to the right? I don't think Jota's as effective off the right as what he is off the left. You know what you're going to get with Maeda, but it's his pace that the gaps that appear because of his pace, because teams are terrified from him. They'll drop right off, and then if the midfield are not switched on the opposition, those gaps in, and that's where Celtic get in and cause you massive problems.
At the other end, sorry, carry on.
No, you go, the other end.
I was just going to say, the other end of the park, no Kasper Schmeichel. It looks as if he's going to be out for a little period of time. Clean sheet for Sini Salo. Will Celtic be quite content that he can see the season out if need be?
Yeah, I think they will be. Let's be realistic. It wasn't for a long period of time. There half the season. Kasper Schmeichel has hardly touched the ball, hasn't he? Yes, it might have been a little bit more active recently, but if Celtic can back to that level between now and the end of the season, I don't think he will be called upon that much. But there is no doubt that Kasper Schmeichel has Had an outstanding season. It's an opportunity for the boy to come in now. I think Brendan Rodgers, I listened to his interview at the weekend, and that's what it was. It was in terms of bringing him in to develop him, to give him to learn off of Kasper Schmeichel. He might not have been expecting to see a lot of minutes, this season, but he's now got a chance. He's now got a chance to rack up some minutes, and it will be pressure games as well. When you think there's a good chance that in terms of the semi-final, he will obviously play. And if Kasper Schmeichel's not back for a final, he could play there. And he's going to play in the games that Celtic will win the league as well. So it's big games for him. The other one I think for me as well, and I thought it was quite interesting, Roger, was the whole Greg Taylor thing at the weekend again. And then Brendan Rodgers obviously decided to speak about it. I'm going to say something here. If you're Rangers, would you offer Greg Taylor a contract? Just when you think of, Yilmaz and Jeffrey, I think Greg Taylor has shown for a consistent period of time now how consistent he has been. And if he's not going to be at Celtic, he said he wants football, he wants to play regular. Could we see him switch sides in Glasgow?
I was only joking when I said Kilmarnock fans supported Rangers. I was a carry-on line earlier on. Could
we see him? Well, that's a genuine question, though. And I know that obviously the rivalry between the two clubs and that, but if Greg Taylor Brendan Rodgers has said he's probably he's going to move on for regular football. For me, he's Scottish. He ticks the box.
Is he a better player than Jeffrey and Ridvan Yilmaz?
Well, I think he's shown that for a period of time now. There's no getting away from it. For me, you look at as a free contract. Listen, he might not sign it, but we know the way the world works now. You could ask the question. You could ask the question. As I said, I think obviously Kieran Tierney coming back to Celtic is a huge coup for them. It's a big risk. It's a big chance. It's a gamble because of his injury record. And I think Greg Taylor comes up and shows every single week. And again, he's probably going to be one of those ones until he's left. Then people will start to appreciate what they had. And it looks as if it's heading that way. But
you were a teammate. You were a teammate at Kilmarnock for a period of time. You've seen him develop. You've seen him win Scotland caps. What does he bring to the team?
Well, I think we've seen that on the pitch. Anybody that's watched Celtic for a period of time now, and even when he was at Kilmarnock as well, we have seen what he brings to a team on the pitch. But it's behind the scenes that for me it's more important because you know what you're going to get on the pitch. But every single day trains to his max. What that does, whether he's playing or not, what that then does is show up every single person around you. And, I think we've spoken about Celtic in terms of the ones who have not been playing. They seem to come in and it doesn't even make a difference if they've not been playing. That tells me that they train at a level every single day, that they're prepared. And, people like Greg Taylor, and it was the exact same even when he went through a spell when he wasn't playing at Kilmarnock and as well. He trains at a level every day, gives his max, because he has to. When you go to big clubs, you have to do that. And you're hoping for that opportunity of getting back into the team. For me, I don't think it's going to happen. Jeffrey Schlupp's come in and done well. Not getting away from it. Kieran Tierney's obviously going to sign for Celtic. And I just thought it was interesting. Whether it's going to work one way or the other, for me, Brendan is it might have put a little bit of pressure on the Celtic board. But I kind of get the feeling that Brendan Rodgers is running the show right now. If he really wanted them to stay, he would have got it done. The weekend for me was telling that it's over for Greg Taylor at Celtic, and he's going to have to go and he might have signed with somebody. I don't know. He might have agreed a deal with somebody or no. But as I said, it wouldn't be the worst one for me from my old club to have a little conversation with, shall we say? And Roger, I get people who say, when you look back at the obvious ones that have played with both teams and that, I totally get it. But a lot of noise now is on social media. I don't think it's like what it was in the past. The noise on social media, that's easy. Have to do it every week. Just block them, ignore them.
What we can't ignore is this fight for third place. Hibernian 3-0 winners against St Johnstone. Aberdeen 4-1 winners against Motherwell. And then yesterday, Dundee United 1-0 winners late on in the Highlands against Ross County. How's this going to play out? Because it's a great fight for third.
It is. I look at, and I know you've not mentioned them there, and I'm glad you didn't, because I think Hearts they're out at their main concentration has to be obviously the semi-final, but just make sure it's in the top six. I'll be honest with you, I think looking at it, I mean, Dundee United went to Dingwall, managed to get a result, but for me, I think it's between Hibs and Aberdeen. If I was a betting man, I think I would have to sway more towards Hibs right now, just because of the way that they're playing. The goal difference is huge as well, and I know that only comes into it when the level. But I look at Hibs; they're going to be playing the same the same teams going forward. Well, Aberdeen's got, I think, away to Ross County, then Rangers at home, I think it is.
Yeah.
And then
Hibs at Ibrox this Saturday, yeah.
And at home to Dundee. Yep. So there's obviously both of them have got Rangers to play, but I look at Hibs and think they have more chance of picking up more points, shall we say. And, that 1 point. And if it is to be that the case that Hibs do finish third, Roger, I mean, and I know we've spoken about Brendan Rodgers and the way that he has, built another team as such and the job he's done. But you've got to say, David Gray would have to be in contention for manager of the year. Yeah. The period of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to be fair to Aberdeen as well, and Jimmy Tilleen obviously got off to a fantastic start at that last period, but Aberdeen have seemed to get themselves back on track now as well. Fantastic result at the weekend, against a poor Motherwell team, I must add, who are now, they're fighting for obviously that top 6 spot as well with Hearts and St Mirren. Ross County will say they're still in it. But, for me, David Gray, his staff, from that, when the 3 each, when they went the 3 each against Aberdeen, and from there on, I mean, they've been unbelievable, really.
Yeah, they have been. You touched on Hearts across the capital. Neil Critchley, he saw them 3-0 down at half-time at Celtic Park. He was probably content to get out at 3-0. Yeah. He would certainly have been content when he saw the other scores, because they're still 6th and they've got their destiny in their own hands. Home to Dundee United, away to Motherwell. Are they still in the box seat for that 6th place?
They are. I mean, I think, obviously, Hearts and Motherwell are going to play each other. So you look at that, and Hearts. I mean, if Hearts have to go to Firth Park and get the victory, or if they lose, then it's their own fault, hasn't it? Really. Yeah. So the ones who, when you look at St Mirren, what are they? Dundee away and
I think Ross County at
home. St Mirren will argue, that. I mean, on paper, that's probably the 2 easier fixtures out the 3 teams as such. But St Mirren, you look at the run of fixtures they've been on, Roger. And that wee period of time when I think they had like Hibs, Hearts, Rangers, Celtic all together, and now they've came out the other side of that, and still in a position where they can strike. And you've got to say, absolutely dismantled Kilmarnock.
Let's talk about them. They had no strikers, according to Stephen Robinson. They scored 5 goals against Kelly. Kelly are now right in that relegation.
Kelly in trouble.
Yeah. What's going wrong?
What's going wrong? I think big players missing. And people will say, everybody's had injuries, but I think when you look at Kilmarnock, and I know they've been out for a period of time, and it might be a boost if Stuart Finley's back this weekend. Yeah. Obviously. The reserve game. I think
Kyle Vassell
and Kyle Vassell as well. He's huge, not only because of he's a club captain, but his presence and because the way Kilmarnock play, Derek will want to get it forward up into his big guy and then get runners off him, go and challenge, keep the ball alive in the that area of the pitch. I don't think Marley Watkins seems to be the same player when he's not there. Yeah. Bobby Wells had been playing. It was Bruce Anderson at the weekend, and I think Derek, and he'll probably admit it himself, at this stage of the season, you want to have a settled team, but because of the inconsistency of too many of his players, he's searching to find a formula that's going to get Kilmarnock results. I think Saturday for them is a huge game. Their home form again has been good. You would expect, I think they'll beat Motherwell at the weekend, which would be a huge 3 points. But they're going to have to perform a lot better than what they have been recently. We go back to it, was it 0-0, 1-0, 1 each? Sorry, the last time, but Kilmarnock absolutely battered. I think it was 1 each. Kilmarnock absolutely battered Motherwell at Rugby Park the last time and should have won it. And if he can, if Derek McInnes can find that same type of performance from his team against Wimmer's team in Saturday, then I do think Kilmarnock will get the 3 points, and it would be a huge 3 points, because I look at Dundee, Roger, and it's all well being in that position, and yes, their goal difference is only just worse than Kilmarnock's because of that bleaching that Kilmarnock got at the weekend. You look at the thing with Dundee, they can score goals.
Yeah,
they've got goal scorers. Simon Murray will score goals. Adewumi, carries a threat. His pace. Tiffany, albeit missed a sitter, but it's a fantastic strike. They've got pace in their team, Dundee, that can cause teams problems. I think, we'll touch on. I mean, Ross County can get pulled back into that 11th spot. I don't think they can get pulled into, they're 9 points ahead of St Johnstone. I can't say it. I mean, St Johnstone ain't catching Ross County. So St Johnstone will look at it and say they're in a three-way fight between, Kilmarnock, Dundee and St Johnstone and themselves. And Kilmarnock and Dundee will have to target Ross County to pull them back in, because St Johnstone are not going to catch Ross County. For me, it's too big. The gap's too big, because they're all going to play each other shortly as well, and they'll end up taking points off each other. But there's one thing I think that you look at Dundee scoring goals. St Johnstone concede them at an alarming rate as well. Obviously Celtic this weekend, and then their last game. I think they did Tannadice last. Tannadice. Yeah. Again, it's not an easy place to go, is it? It's not an easy place to go.
But basically, what you're telling me, Boyd, is I'm not going to get a Kilmarnock United playoff final.
I don't know, Roger. You might. I mean, I think St John. As I said, I don't think St Johnstone will get out it. So they're going down. But that 11th spot, for me, is between. It's obviously Ross County, Kilmarnock, Dundee. Dundee will score goals, but they'll obviously concede them. Kilmarnock need to get back to what they were, and I think the return of Stuart Finlay is huge. Kyle Vassell, as I said, we don't know where that's at, but they could be doing with getting him back as well. And if they do get those two back, I think they'll have enough to stay out it. But even if they do finish 11th, I don't think there'll be an Ayrshire derby. There we go. I think Livy will be too strong for here.
And on that note, Boyd, we'll draw a line under it.
There we go.
Thank you very much indeed. We'll see your column this Saturday in the Scottish Sun. We'll be back on Go Ballistic again next Monday. You have a good week.
You too.